In the heart of the 1990s, one man made a simple bet that would end up breaking the entire economy of England. What began as a normal day would soon change into chaos. Chaos that would leave a permanent mark on the nation's history. But what exactly happened? And who is this guy?
The government raises interest rates twice in one day to 15% in its all-out battle to prop up sterling. But after a frantic day's trading, the pound plunges again.
Today has been an extremely difficult and turbulent day.
Background of Black Wednesday. In the 1980s, the UK faced high inflation and economic instability. This led to prices rising quickly and made British goods more expensive compared to foreign products, leading to less international trade and more unemployment. So the government had to change something. To fix these problems, the UK joined the European Exchange Rate Mechanism, or ERM. Before joining the ERM, the UK used a floating exchange rate system where the value of the British pound was determined by supply and demand. For example, if the UK economy was doing well, the pound was more valuable, making British goods more expensive abroad but cheaper for UK consumers to import. However, this also means that if the economy was struggling, the pound was less valuable, boosting exports by making British products cheaper for foreign buyers, but increasing the costs of imports. This system provides more flexibility, allowing the currency to adjust automatically in response to economic conditions. However, it also meant that the currency is more volatile, making it harder to invest in the UK for businesses and investors. Under the ERM, the UK was required to maintain the pound's value within a specific range against other European currencies, especially the German Deutsche Mark. This means that the pound's value couldn't go too high or too low compared to other European currencies. Unlike UK's previous system, the government has to intervene to maintain a specific exchange rate. The goal was to keep prices stable and reduce inflation. But there was one problem with the ERM that only one man understood. The problem with the ERM. When the UK joined the ERM, it was already in a recession. Now, when an economy is in a recession, the central bank normally wants to lower the interest rates to make borrowing money cheaper for businesses and consumers, which leads to boost economic growth. But because of the ERM, it could no longer do that. The British pound was already a weak currency, with the UK inflation rate being 3 times higher than Germany's. If the Bank of England cuts the interest rates, it would help the British economy, but it would devalue the British pound so much that the UK would leave the ERM, which the government, of course, did not want to. From 1990 to 1992, the UK tried to maintain the pound's value. Throughout these 2 years, the Bank of England would frequently go to the market and start buying up pounds by the millions. But this didn't help since the British pound still weakened during this time. So pretty much every currency speculator understood that the British pound has to devalue. But the million-dollar question was, when would that happen? And there was only one man with the answer. George Soros. How did he break the economy of ENG? George Soros is an American financier, known for his successful hedge fund investments. His special ability was correctly predicting big market events, this time predicting the devaluation of the British pound. Here is how he did it. Soros believed the pound was overvalued while tied to the ERM, so he bet against the British pound. He borrowed large amounts of pounds from another bank, promising to repay them with some interest on top. Then he went to the foreign exchange market and sold those pounds to buy German marks instead. The idea behind Soros's strategy was to put the pound under immense pressure, causing its value to weaken. After its devaluation, Soros would be able to buy back these pounds cheaper, earning the difference as a profit. And this is exactly what happened, because as Soros sold off the currency, the pound's value fell sharply. Despite the Bank of England's efforts to stabilize the pound by raising interest rates and using foreign reserves to buy pounds, the currency continued to weaken. On September 16, 1992, due to the UK's inability to maintain the pound's value within the ERM, the UK was forced to leave the ERM, which led to an even more devaluation of the pound. This day is called Black Wednesday and left a permanent mark on the nation's history. Soros's successful bet earned him over $1 billion. But what impact did Black Wednesday have? See, Soros' bet had a huge impact on the British economy. By the end of 1992, the devaluation of the pound led to an increased inflation of 5.6%. To defend the pound, the Bank of England raised interest rates sharply. This had the effect that businesses faced higher costs for imported materials and goods, which in turn raised production costs and prices for consumers. Due to this economic instability, the cost of living for consumers increased drastically. However, it also had a big impact for the Bank of England. During the Black Wednesday crisis, the Bank of England spent around $40 billion buying its own currency in an attempt to save the pound's value. This failed intervention drained the bank's foreign exchange reserves and led to a significant loss of confidence in the UK's economic management. Even though Soros made $1 billion by speculating, there is one guy named Mark Cuban that made billions with his invests. But still, he made some bad decisions that made him losing over $2 billion. Check out the video in the description to find out why. But how did people view George Soros after Black Wednesday? Well, the people's view on George Soros were mixed. Many in the UK saw Soros as a villain, blaming him for the increased inflation and the significant loss of the British pound's value. They viewed his bet as a major factor that contributed to the crisis. On the other hand, some viewed Soros as a brilliant financier who correctly identified a failing economic policy. His ability to predict the devaluation of the pound earned him respect in the financial world. Overall, Soros was seen as both a ruthless speculator and a financial genius, depending on one's perspective on the economic impact of his actions. What is your opinion on George Soros? Do you see him as a villain or a genius financier? Let me know what you think in the comments.